Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the Smite Console League. Finch here. I'm joined by Anatoly, and I'm happy to have you with me here, sir. Are you excited for some PS4?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Starting things off in the European side, I am super excited here to see this rematch of week number 3, MV3 up against Bedtime Calling.
That's right. Last time these two played, it did come out in favor of Bedtime's Calling, but it was close, right? It was a 3-game set, so I expect us to still have a close match here. But to be fair, Bedtime's Calling are the 3-2 team. They're not just 3-2. They've gone relatively close when they've played out cold in the past as well. So this is a team that I think is strong. MV3 need to step up if they want to compete.
That's very true in week number 5 and week number 1 as well, taking it to all 3 games up against Out Cold Gaming. So if they want to try to catch up to this 5-0 team that's currently sitting at that number 1 spot, they need to not only win this match, but they need to win it convincingly up against a team that's currently only 1-4.
And one of those 4 losses was to VGS Gods, who were previously winless until they were able to beat MV3. So that just happened last week. So right now MV3 are trying to regroup, I think, right? Trying to come back off a tough loss that they ended up taking last week. And it's not going to happen easily up against a strong team like Bedtime's Calling. So we're going to need to see them really pull out the stops here.
And that's all up to Beast, I think. His late game performance on Jingwei, just other kind of safe hunters, is going to be the do or die kind of deal for this matchup specifically up against Bedtime Calling, where they're going to have Arya Cruz on the opposite end of that field.
That's right. Arya Cruz is one to keep your eye out for, and so they'll need a strong performance from Mohai's Beast to try and lock him down. Claw Legend, we saw last year, make some really nice, or last week, make some really nice plays as well. So I wonder if the Legend shall continue, if that kind of thing will still keep happening. But Jock's another one to keep in mind. The jungler. He'll have Sarpei across the way from him to try and deal with as well. So it's a tough matchup. I am worried about saying that anyone is individually better than anyone else still at this point in PS4 because it's still such a young scene and I want to let them develop before we start making those kind of calls. But certainly in terms of team-wide performance, Bedtime's Calling has just looked better.
I think so. I think it's safe to say that, honestly, Finch.
Sure.
And going into this matchup for picks and bans, you're looking at a lot of jungle picks between Sarpei and Jock.
Sure.
Looking for the hyper carry. Susanoo, not one as the most popular jungler pick, but seeing Jock's play it before, he's had great success for it. I wouldn't be surprised going into this matchup if Bedtime Calling take a look at that and just kind of strip that away from him.
Whatever it takes to try and limit Jock's performance. Sure, I could certainly see that. Maybe this look towards this middle lane as well is another area. We haven't seen as much pressure in that lane so much on the console side of it. It's been fairly standard from all these teams so far, everyone going where they're supposed to in the start of the game, so who knows, we might not see anything too crazy, but we'll find out in a moment. Let's get right to the picks and bans. No need for us to wonder any longer. MV3 up against Bedtime's Calling, and it will be Bedtime's Calling with that first pick selection, so we'll see if, just like up in the SPL, if they'll have the easier time, they can force MV3 to ban the good stuff.
When you're first pick, Finch, there's a lot of throwaway bans that we've seen in the SPL, and already transitioning it here to week number 6 of the console world with a Jingwei ban to start things off. Very unconventional, but in a world where you have to think about Merlin, Arthur, Xbalanque even,
good,
Naja. Like, there's so many good first pickable gods that having that first pick selection gives you 2 freedom throwaway bans.
And very often we see them targeted not unlike what we're seeing here, where this does look to be a pick to take away one of Mohai's Beast gods that he's comfortable on. And not just that he's comfortable on, but it can be so hard to pressure a Jingwei. She's so safe. She has so many abilities with which to get out. So take that one off the board and see if maybe you can put this dual lane behind.
And I also forgot to mention the Freya being one of those first pickable gods as well. So normally you want to leave, you know, at least 3 of these gods open, but with the Merlin being stripped away and Arthur, now I think Freya is just on the bed.
It absolutely is an open pick here still at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets grabbed. Naja is another one that comes to mind. We've seen that pick be certainly prioritized. Fafnir too in the SPL a little bit lately. We saw a Fafnir Drogonic Corruption Coerce take an 18.5-minute tower in the SPL recently, or Phoenix rather, excuse me. So certainly he could be strong if you have the team to put around him.
Specifically that E United versus SK said Callus playing the Fafnir, but it wasn't first picked out of him and his team. It was a Freya into the Fafnir, and I think that Bedtime Calling could have set themselves up a little bit better if they picked the Freya. Surprised not to see MV3 snap lock this Freya in response.
It's certainly a strong pick, but maybe if you're not feeling comfortable, it's one that you don't want to force into your comp. Certainly they have some strong gods. Achilles is another one that's been highly contested. His flexibility between jungle, solo, even support sometimes, is very strong. And then you add in Guan Yu with all that sustain that he has, and now you're looking at a team that's tough to team fight.
And they got some good healing already. MV3 is between the Guan Yu for team sustain.
Right.
Achilles can self-sustain him with his combat training. So I like the aggressive warrior front line, but they're going to need to have some backline to create some space, because that Giannis is going to give all of Bedtime Calling just plenty of mobility to chase him down, especially when you add an Osiris to the mix.
That's right. They have picked this Giannis a little early, though. Maybe not earlier than you have to, but certainly early in relation to the carries for MV3. When you see that Giannis, you do kind of think, okay, he'll set up for the backline to dive me pretty easily now. Maybe I should be trying to pick some carries that are a little bit safer. And still that option exists for MV3. They weren't locked into anything.
No, definitely not. And Giannis is a very safe guy to be able to disengage from the Guan Yu cavalry charge.
Yeah.
Once that horse comes out, portal away, disengage as fast as possible. And also to deal with the Guan Yu was the anti-healing from the Osiris, that Lord of the Afterlife providing that 100% anti-healing. Normally, you're looking at Osiris, potentially even Serket. Even an Odin wouldn't have been a bad pick there. And considering it's the console world, Odin probably would be one of the better selections.
That's a good point. Odin also strong. So a lot of some of the priority picks that we've seen, at least in the SPL, kind of falling by the wayside here. And I'm not too surprised. The most important thing, I think, in these games is that you're picking picks that you know that your team is comfortable with, that you've had plenty of practice with, and that you have some experience on as well. So if you're not ready to go with the top stuff, then there's no reason to bother. Ban away stuff like Freya and Merlin and get that out of there.
I like what MV3 are doing already, trying to take away some jungle picks, knowing that they have the next pick. Between the Guan Yu and Achilles, I think it might be Achilles in that jungle position.
So.
Guan Yu could easily flex between support or solo, so MV3 with their jungler Achilles.
Interesting.
Just trying to take away some other options. They're basically guessing that this Osiris is going to go in that solo lane, that it's not going to be played coming out of Jox.
I think so too. That's what they're gambling. They're also, it looks like from Bedtime's Calling, assuming that this is going to be the double hunter composition, and it looks like they were correct. It was the Soul instead of the Chronos. So I wonder if Bedtime's Calling banned away what they actually wanted with that Chronos and left them with Soul. But either way, they've got the Soul Uller now, a very potent combination of two auto attackers, and taking those both away from this Fafnir.
Yeah, that's surprising to see that Bedtime Calling taking the Hun Bats now. When they banned away the Freya and the Chronos, they were expecting some magical hunter
For sure.
there, so the only one remaining was the Soul. And normally when you're the one with the Fafnir, you kind of want to be the one with a magical hunter and a regular physical hunter, but they picked the Giannis very early, so they can't really have that combination unless they do something really off the wall.
Well, they have the Hachiman, so they have even more attack speed acceleration coming through from that Heavenly Banner. So between him and the Fafnir, they'll be swinging quite fast, but it will largely to be the Hachiman. The Osiris can do some work if he's got a little bit of extra attack speed to work with, so certainly not too bad. And Artio to round things out.
Artio is a good cripple to apply onto anyone that's trying to use those Giannis portals.
Yeah.
Not being able to go through that heavily limits the mobility from Bedtime Calling. They're going to have to rely a little bit more on the thresholds as opposed to the portals. And also, we might see some early disengage ultimates from the Hachiman. If you get crippled, you're not going to be able to Aya Jutsu away, so you're going to rely on that mounted archery instead.
Yeah, and the lockdown is going to be important for me, totally. This is kind of a hard team to lock down on MV3, a tanky, safe squad. So how well can Bedtime's Calling get it done? That inbot's probably going to be key, but let's move into it. Bedtime's Calling up against MV3 Mavericks. Let's go into the game.
And into the game we shall go. My name's Tom. I'm joined here by Hi-Rez, Mr. Aggro here. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty well. Ready to get another week of the SCL rolling and see if Bedtime's Calling can keep their streak rolling. They've been looking really, really good, but they do have a bit of a switch up here in the support role. Dragon King, Jod. How do we want to say that? I'm gonna let you take the reins. You're chair one, man. You're gonna be saying it more than me.
So we've got the dual lane here for Bedtime's Calling. It's gonna be
what's
Arya
his
Cruz
name?
and Dragon King.
I'm just asking what his name is.
And we're gonna see how these guys are doing.
Yeah, we can just stay with Dragon King.
Just
I think
say
that's
Dragon
fine.
King.
I'm glad that there's no
You could
like
say
Alquan.
DKJ.
Okay, all right. I can. There's got to be a way. I don't know why I can't figure out how to pronounce that, but I'm not even gonna try.
It's. I feel like Jagia is easy.
Jagia, Jagia, yeah, Jagia.
Yeah, maybe if we're
Dragon King it is.
Maybe if we're taco, it's like Hagia. Right?
Yes, yeah. Taco not being here today. She was gonna be on the set, right?
Unfortunately, she is a little sick. Well, you weren't here either last weekend, so you know we trade out. We trade out. So, in Taco's favor, you know, let's talk about this mid laner, Jose Raito. He's going to be interesting here on the Uller. Going to give him a lot of pressure versus the Giannis for sure. And if you want to talk about pressure, MV3, they go ahead and grab the mid. Oh, actually, hold that. Ali Oxen is free. the first blood for MV3.
It just steps up way too far to clear those archers. Don't need to be that far in order to hit Unstable Vortex. It goes a good distance. It feels a little bit unconfirmable most of the time to use that last little convergence on the edge, but the minions are pretty stationary. So Ollie steps up too far forward, as well as puts his shoulder a little bit too close to the right side wall. Anytime in the early game that you haven't seen the jungler cross over towards red buff, you need to be angling yourself to the left and not towards the right. If Ollie isn't in stun range there for Jox's Shield of Achilles, maybe he ends up surviving.
And that's one of the big differences. Now, all of what Ryan said is general Giannis play, but specifically when you've got a Hunter, specifically an Uller in that mid lane, just so much less room to play with. You know, if you're against another mage, maybe you get popped once and you can back off and you're like, oh, well, I shouldn't stand there. But unfortunately, the combo coming from Jose is a little bit too powerful, too spicy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jose had put in good poke onto Ollie before the blink in from Jox, and that made it pretty easy for MV3's jungler to get the first blood in their favor. And that's what Uller is supposed to be doing. You were asking what Jose is going to be doing in this lane. It's exactly this, playing aggressively. But go on the tower line, especially when you've got a jungler like Hunbats who pre-5 isn't doing a whole lot to scare you.
Sure.
Play as aggressively as possible.
Right there, Jacques going to continue the aggression that his mid laner started. Blink over there on the right-hand side, and that winds up being another kill. Excuse me, not the blink. That'll be up in 25, but the jump over there on the right side comes at a good time. Jacques is able to get the gank, then return to his speed buff, and then pick up the blue buff his solo laner will do by his lonesome. The follow-up on the Jose Raitu one more time. The turnaround stun. Here comes Giannis, and some good damage onto the mid lane Uller.
Just no real threat, though. I mean, Jose's going to take a decent amount of poke from Unstable Vortex, but it's not enough to bring him down, and that's why he's able to play so aggressively. Even a 2-on-1, Hunbats Giannis pre-5 is not scary at all. And really, even if you have purification beads, levels 5 to 7 aren't that scary. Once you start getting towards 9, 10, basically when their damage abilities and Overhand Smash and Unstable Vortex are maxed, then you really have to start respecting those two together. But until then, Jose should be playing as aggressively as he has been.
Left lane still very aggressive. MV3. Well, all lanes seem to be about the gas pedal here. They've got the Soul. That's certainly one of the better characters when it comes to clear. And against the Hachiman, doing a lot of good work. Even bringing Fafnir down to 25.
He's got enough health pots, though, that it really shouldn't be too much of an issue, though. It looks like the meditation in that lane has already been used. Dragon King going for that med instead of something like a Frenzy or a Horrific Emblem. A bit surprising.
Surprise! Jacques is here one more time, looking for the Osiris. Full passive is up, and this could be problematic. Jacques still underneath the tower! And the execute, good enough.
Wow, and he lived, too. That's insane. I really thought Jox was as good as dead on the trade, but Tower just a little bit short, within 30 HP of getting that kill, but Jox able to survive, and thank goodness that Loki Berto actually killed a minion on his way past and hit Jox over to level 5, because he was sitting at level 4 when that gank started.
That's what it's about, though, understanding, and a lot of times, I mean, you'll see that in high-level competition where it's, I'm level 4, but I need 2 minions. Kill these 2 minions when I jump in, and I'll be able to ult, and that's actually a calculation that these players will make. So a nice attention to detail, if we will. A meticulous gank over there on the right-hand side to give MV3 an even larger lead. Just shy of 1,000 now, 3 kills to Zill.
Now, despite Jox's 3 kills, all of the kills for MV3 on their jungler,
Bang, bang.
it's Sarpei who's been farming a little bit better. He's sitting at level 6, and that's despite having far less Assassin's Blessing stacks. Now, a lot of that comes from the kills that Jox is getting, but it's also the fact that Sarpei seems to have been absorbing a little bit more lane farm than Jox has so far, which sets him ahead in XP, but means that he's taking that XP from his teammates, whereas the XP for MV3 a little bit better spread out.
I also think as Ollie gets hit with the combo, his axe there, baby! Jose Raitu just free-handed it. Love the play there, number 4. It's also representative of 2 very different play styles coming out from junglers, and it's fun because I think that neither of them are necessarily correct, or excuse me, neither of them are incorrect. We talk about, without fear, no evil, you're not really a character. You need that ultimate. Sarpei needs to get to level 5, and so that's his job, just hunker down and and farm up. Jacques going to finish him off there after some nice poke in the jungle. Whereas Jacques over here is trying to facilitate his teammates. And if you look outside of just the junglers, let's pretend that didn't happen. A little bit of a lead for Sarpé versus Jacques, right? Now it ruins my argument because they just killed each other, but that's besides the point. A lead in the mid lane, a lead in the solo lane, which is both of where Jacques went to. He puts himself about half a level underneath the opposing jungler to allow his right laner and his mid laner to get that lead against their opposition.
Exactly, and that's what jungle's all about most of the time, is facilitating and being the dude who's going to set up for your teammates, as well as make an impact yourself, of course. And Sarpé, after taking that spell, looks like Jose had just caught him in the jungle with an axe combo. Forced out Fear No Evil, #1, and then lets Jacques go in and clean it up after a quick blink. Means that now your only lead that you had on Bedtime's Calling is now by the wayside, and Jacques has caught up and surpassed Sarpé in XP. So now if I'm this Hunbats, I think I'm heading over to the duo lane. It's the only lane that isn't significantly behind already. And maybe I can try and make a play there, get Arya Cruz ahead, and start fighting there. But with Arya's build going for the Devourer's Gauntlets early on, there's not a whole lot of early power there.
Well, there's a lot of power coming out from Soul, and he's Beast's going to pick one up. Ollie and Dragon King on the run, but here comes Kino. Is there enough peel?
Great
and there
stun.
is a stun mid-overhand smash, but Dragon King threads the needle and finds the hammer hit.
Sarpé and still in a ton of trouble. No Fear No Evil quite yet. Jose really wants it. Fear No Evil comes up right on time, and that means Sarpé is out of there. So at least Bedtime's Calling get themselves on the board, but was a good effort by Kino in particular to try and keep his Hunter alive.
So when it comes to Fear No Evil, patience is key. There's nothing that I hate to see more than a wasted totem. So Sarpé there, I like that he holds it for a long time, pops it when only absolutely necessary, and I think that play style like that, listen, this is only a 2,000 gold lead. If Sarpé can nail some of these stronger Fear No Evils, I think we have a chance to see Bedtime's Calling get back into this one.
Arya's here, but Dragon King actually going to use that Draconic Corruption. Good axe from Jose Raito. Puts an end to that aggression. That was just the please don't kill our tower ultimate.
Yeah.
Coming out from Dragon King. And
which I like.
It's fine. I don't think that they could have gotten that tower anyways, though, is my only concern. I mean, Arya Cruz had just arrived, so Jose couldn't really stick around forever. Their minion wave was almost dead. If he's going to do that, do it earlier and at least make them back up and not deal quite as much poke damage.
I feel that. I think there was enough of a question to go for it. Losing your dual lane tower at 8 minutes. I'll blow an ult just in case. DKJ jumping on out of there. I don't know if Sinna's going to be able to do the same, but Lucky Berto going to allow him to. No problemo. MV3 Esports looking for the invade, and they are finding it as well. You want to talk about players that have been on top of the game. Yes, Jacques has been the facilitator, and he's opened the doors. But Jose has walked right on through those doors, both by himself and with help from the jungler. Level 10 now on the Ullr, and this is why you pick Ullr mid.
Exactly. You get pressure early on, you kill the enemy mid laner basically by yourself, you kill the enemy jungler basically by yourself, and he's in a position where when Ullr mid falls behind, it feels really, really early game only.
Yeah.
You feel like you have such a small window to be effective. But when you're ahead like this, it extends your window much longer because you start getting your items online really quickly, and all of a sudden you get to play very aggressively for quite some time. So he's already got his boots. He's going to back to base right now, probably pick up Mace 1, and eventually this will turn into, in my mind, what should be a crusher. I'm not a big fan of the Jotun's Wrath Ullr mid. Feels a little bit too focused on it just you get it a little bit too late for it to be super effective. I think Crusher is almost always better.
Sure.
It gives you attack speed, pen, and a great passive for Ullr.
I agree with that one. Looks like Bedtime's Calling, trying to make a play with the Giannis ultimate. Giannis actually going to come through, might get flanked, but won't be the case. Now Bedtime Calling on the retreat, and a full-on 5-man collapse from MV3. This is going to be a tier 1 tower push, I'm pretty sure. You can see the wraparound coming here from Jose and Loki Berto, and the damage is dealt, and the tier 1 tower could go down, but first they're looking for the plays, and King Dragon falls down.
Oh, but a great ultimate from Sarpé pushes Loki Berto underneath the tier 2, but there's just no damage in order to get that kill. Kino was low, Loki Berto was low underneath the tier 2, but 15 stacks on Devo gloves and boots 2 means Arya is putting out no damage in this team fight, and Ollie had already returned towards the mid lane, so MV3 get away with it.
And here's the big deal. You see the solo laners do this a lot where I'll trade one tier 1 for another tier 1. It's not that simple. Sure, 500 gold here, 500 gold there, but the big difference is the map presence and the situation around therein. And MV3, that tier 1 tower on the left, is so much more valuable because of what they are able to grab after the fact in the Gold Fury.
And you were talking about the pressure that Jose Raito has gotten because of Jox's presence, but I think Loki Berto has benefited even more.
Yeah.
He got a lead on Kana in this lane. Osiris really needs to be ahead if he wants to be a lane bully. Otherwise, he's got no easy way to stop Guan Yu's Talon Assault. Ever since that early gank, Loki Berto has been in control of this lane. He's able to nearly kill Kana, then force him back to base. He doesn't have teleport up, so easy tier 1 tower for Loki Berto. And that ends up in an easy rotation because he knows the tower is gone, so Kana needs to be there to respect that farm, whereas he is free to rotate. And that's what really opens up that early Gold Fury.
So 12 minutes in, MV3 have pressured pretty much every point on the map possible. A lot of that coming from mid laner and jungler. 7-1, a nice little 4,000 gold lead, maybe 3,500 to be exact, but looks like Bedtime's calling, trying to turn that around. Big damage onto Oi's Beast, but he's got help in Kino around the way.
Good portal. That'll force the purification beads. The mounted archery does some good work, and Arya finally able to finish it off. Needs the whole kit with how little power he has so far, but eventually he will get there, and that's extra stacks on his Devourer's Gauntlets, some much-needed stacks.
A nice, an imperative kill, in all honesty. Very, very important to see that one go that way. But MV3, I love the Guan ult for no reason.
Well, it's movement speed, man. You're faster on a horse than you are walking.
That is
Stop me when I'm wrong.
very true. Kana now in trouble, and the ultimate will be used by both players, but it's dodged out, and Jux. Ooh, a bad misplay. Could be the end of this team fight here.
Jock's gonna go down to the overhand smash. Kana still up, now has to worry about Jose Raito rotating in, but Arya Cruz shows up in the mid lane and forces Jose to jump away.
The dragon damage is good enough, but Jose Raito from the outside can't find any of his abilities. The thorns good enough to dissuade, but there from a distance, Kana goes down. The hail of arrows is good. And Dragon King Hagia on the way, slowed and bowed. Jose Raito, 10 for MV3.
The two players that we were highlighting of having leads just do so much in that team fight. Jox goes down early because he gets his Fatal Strike blocked, but Jose and Loki Berto get away with very little damage on either of them. Really great team fight from those two. Loki Berto staying on Ollie even through the portal, whereas Jose Raito giving himself some distance and easily finishing off Kana with a nice distant hail of arrows, and that opens up a clean 14-minute Fire Giant for MV3.
Guan Yu, so powerful in these team fights, man. Just
so good.
The damage, everybody looks at the healing, which you should absolutely look at. But the protection shred and the damage is so intense. 5,400 so far, and that's a large number.
That's a ton. I mean, that's taking away all of Dragon King and Ollie's damage so far this game.
All of it.
All of it. And then some. Still, on top of that, I mean, he is really done a lot so far this game. And don't forget, again, a lot of the presence that he's had has been because of Jox heading over and ganking his lane early on and setting him up for success.
Yep.
But then it's been Loki Berto who's been taking the train home ever since then, because he's really been driving this thing very well. Go ahead. I was waiting for it.
If you're taking the train home,
yeah,
you are a passenger. Unless you're the conductor.
He is the conductor.
That's not true.
That's true. Oh My Jox gave him a conductor's license.
But you can't take the train home
Why
if
not?
You're driving it. You don't drive a train.
The train's going home.
But do you drive a train? It's on a track. I think you administer a train.
Sure. He's administering the train home.
Well, there's the Fear No Evil. That's the guy. This guy with no headphones. Left side, though, more of a team fight. My MV3 Esports trying to push it out. But a good defense from Bedtime Calling. Not enough to really get excited. No single target being focused, but Bedtime's Calling just kind of shoves everybody out of their lane, you know?
But the healing from Loki Berto means they don't really need to give this
right
up
back.
at all. And now they don't have to worry about Fear No Evil or Mounted Archery or Through Space and Time.
This has always been the problem going up against healing compositions, is the fact that they can just take two so quickly.
There you go.
Nice jump over the wall from Kana. And there's the follow-up. The tier 2 will be free, or perhaps paid in advance. And MV3 continue barreling down the left side lane looking for a Phoenix.
Coming down the tracks.
Without a driver.
They need a driver.
We need somebody to go deep, and it's going to be Loki Berto who finds his way to the back line, heals up, and Kino puts down Sarpei. Phoenix is still alive and healthy, but again, group up, and he will not let you fall.
He really won't. He's got a ton of MP5 as well between the Breastplate of Valor and that Genji's Guard. He's completely full on mana. And where did Arya Cruz just go? Dragon King is next, and now Kana and Ollie here to try and save the Phoenix. A really good unstable Vortex. Put some of the carries low, but there's no follow-up damage. This is a level 14 Osiris.
The damage is on top of the Osiris. The left side Phoenix goes down, and bedtime's calling.
Pulling into the station.
Yeah, we'll see how this one works. Oh, that's going to be a miss. No big target focus coming out from the Giannis. Low players on MV3, but halfway already dead as a Titan. Sarpei with a nice ultimate to push players off, and I don't know. I think we're going to have a big old track switch. I'm not sure if they're able to pull in just yet.
Is that what they call the? It's a turnstile, right? Like
No.
that's what it is. It's
No.
what it does.
No.
You pull into that little like
Nope.
circle
Nope.
where the trains are, and
Nope.
then they turn you,
Nope.
and then they send you on your way.
Nope. Turnstile is what you hop, or excuse me, what you walk through
Right.
to get onto the.
That wasn't even on
chain.
purpose, was it? You have a serious problem. You have a problem.
The Primal Fury coming through here, 17.
What do they,
38.
what do they call that thing?
Fetty Wap?
No, not that thing. The train thing where you pull in and do the turn.
Turntable.
I watched a lot. No, that's what the DJs use.
In many languages, including English, things can mean more than one thing.
409 on the Hydra's auto. Hydra's Achilles is always fun because his 2 is just it just gives him a load of power. And it's
Yeah.
not flat, it's percent. So you get really stack up that power really easily, and all of a sudden just hit someone for 1,000,000. You just get 20% more physical power.
Boom.
That's a lot. Shouts to Jared, production in our ear. I was literally about to look it up. A railway turntable. You got half right. You get 50% of the
That's
test.
no.
Why not?
I'm sorry. I was using the colloquialism, just flat out turntable.
Right.
Yeah. We don't always say video game keyboard, do we? Computer keyboard, do we? We don't say computer keyboard, do we?
No. Why would we?
Because there's another type of keyboard. The 88 keys, the black and whites, the ivories and ebonies, if you will. Come
I
on
won't.
now.
I won't do that.
Piano.
Yeah, it's not a keyboard.
Yes, it is.
Loki Berto in the midst of 3. He's going to have to use that ultimate, but of course that damage.
Look at the Guan, just whatever he wants.
Yeah, and it just no fear whatsoever, and for good reason. Ollie is lurking in mid lane, could fire off a through space in time, and here it comes, but it's a little bit too late. He does clip Jose Raito, but the objective already down. MV3 with another Fire Giant under their belt.
Split push Hunbats I really don't like here. Hunbat's one of the characters on the map which has the biggest team fight implication. I understand maybe it's a losing thought process, get me one thing for the other, but literally anybody. Send the Hunter there, send Kana there. You need Fear No Evil to successfully play defense. Split push Hunbats is almost always the wrong choice, like a blueberry. And we're going to see Arya Cruz just blown up here. Backline! But there's that Fear No Evil.
Jox blocked, and with that Purification Beads, it won't be enough. He seals his fate by walking underneath that Draconic Corruption. Right side Phoenix still standing at this point, but no ults left on the table for Bedtime's Calling.
The damage will come through and take down the bird, and MV3 trying to back off and look for the mid lane. I like that choice. Just going in once didn't work out, so they're trying it the other way. A little bit more fastidious, if you will. And they've got all the time in the world. 20 minutes on the clock. If you haven't been watching Smite lately, this is a very early time to be looking for the win anyway. So
Absolutely.
No stretch.
Absolutely. It's been a little bit of a longer meta through the first portion of Season 6. So to be in this commanding of a position is a bit unusual, but make it look easy for MV3. Jose still hunting Ollie,
yeah.
and he'll find him. Oh, he won't find him, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
And now he's dead.
Oh my goodness.
And they're out.
Oh my god. That one? That one you clip for your friend and you make him watch it every time.
Yeah, that one is. So when they're stunned,
they don't move.
They don't move.
You even have a.
He auto attacked the minion next to him. By the way, is what happened.
Rough
Hate
stuff.
to see it.
Rough stuff. Especially because his abilities were up. He was trying to swag. That's what happened there. Punished for the play.
Unlucky.
A new threshold.
$21.40 on the clock. And about a 10,000 gold lead here for MV3. Trying to play chicken, as bedtime's calling, as they continue to successfully defend. And in all honesty, this is exactly what you're kind of rooting for. MV3, they get this early lead. Jacques sets up the mid laner, sets up their solo laner, and everything kind of comes from this pressure. It snowballs. I will use the term snowball, as I've shied away from it here in the later seasons. But it totally snowballs out of control. And then bedtime's calling, it's their job to go, all right, you got 10,000. First of all, to keep this lead sub 10,000 or around 10,000, this could easily be 15 or 20K.
Yes.
But they've kept it at bay. And honestly, 2 more quality stops. MV3 Surge, bedtime's calling stops them, and a second one, and we're in a tie game, just waiting for one last team fight. So BTC has done exactly what they need to do, Ryan. We'll see how they can, if they can continue it, or if this is where they fall.
I think they'll need a little bit more than 2, but you're definitely not far off, and the bedtime's calling is not buried in this game quite yet, despite their Titan having taken some damage and the right side Phoenix still exposed. No mid-wave quite yet. Jox is going to have to push alongside it, but he's far enough away that they know that this is a potential engage on this left-hand side.
Ali is just now getting involved and whiffs his only ability. That's a little rough. Trying to line up the ultimate.
Arya used his ultimate so early in that fight and got really nothing out of it. That needs to be your chase down ult, not your initiation.
Well, here's the other horse, and it's going to keep the other guy in check. Sarpei off the totem drops down his beast, which is the main culprit for the tower damage. Now MV3 on the back foot as Lucky Berto going to fall down. A double kill for the party monkey, and Sarpei surging forward with the rest of BTC.
Kino can't heal for the moment now with that ghostly soul coming back to him. He can, but shouldn't be trying to fight from this position. And this is where not having your traditional mage might be hurting MV3 a little bit, but you think with the soul and the Uller, it's a positive for getting these Phoenixes because you have so much auto attack damage, but that just hasn't been the case quite yet. That last siege, I think, is just poorly timed by MV3. They're trying to get the last bit, they're trying to squeeze the last bit of value out of that fire giant that they had on his beast, but he didn't have purification beats. And up against the Hunbats with Blink, you're just dead as soon as you start sieging at that point, unless someone can check Sarpei. And when no one does that for MV3, it means that Beast never has a chance to get damage on that Phoenix. So I don't like the way that MV3 played that. You either need to give up the idea of sieging, get positioning, and just burn a fire giant right away. Set yourself up for the next siege with relics. Or someone needs to be all over Sarpei at the very beginning of the team fight, and neither of those things happened, so their siege failed pretty miserably.
I got to agree with you on that one. Also, the spacing. I understand one of the reasons teams have a better time defending, and one of the reasons you defend on your Phoenix versus your Tier 2 is because of how clumped up the enemy team has to be. But even with those parameters, you should never get 5-man Fear No Evil. That is a positioning, just very few things are black and white in Smite. Don't get 5-man Fear No Evil is one of those absolutes.
Jose looking for a bit of damage in the mid lane. He actually forces out through space and time really early. No ward vision, it looks like there. Oh no, maybe they did have a ward. So bedtime's calling, yeah, Ollie just had to use that defensively, and his purification beads are down. Now, Jose did use a blink in the mid lane in order to get himself in that position, but trading blink for through space and time at this point in the game, especially with how little CDR Ollie has, only 20% so far, is a huge win. MV3 should just back it up and go for the objective at this point.
Not a lot of damage done by the Giannis either. I am definitely utility camp Giannis, if you ask me. I like to see a little bit more CDR on my Giannis's.
Yeah, I hate book Giannis.
Yeah, not my favorite, but if you do hit that unstable.
There's a lot. Kana going
Jumping
in.
is going to be Kana, and not enough. As MV3 are able to take care of business. Kana now in between everybody, and then Kino has to escape. The heal will be good. Kana still taking shots, but the chase down left and right. Kana finally falls to the hand of Oi's Beast. It's a 5-on-4.
Sarpei had to blink away from that fatal strike. Arya Cruz locked down. Good damage coming from Jose over the wall, and Jox right in position to kill the Dragon King. MV3 took him a little bit longer than they probably would have liked, and I'm saying that when they're going to win pre-27 minutes, most likely.
Insane. The axe is going to miss, and Ali will be on the run. Right side bird is toasted. Ali launches, and well, Guan Yu doesn't care. There's a self-portal, and kind of set himself up more than anything else. Game number 1, 20-8. Sarpei might mess with those stats, but 27 minutes of play. MV3 will take game number 1.
And make it look pretty easy, too. Remember, Bedtime's Calling is the top card in this region, and MV3 has really struggled through the first half of the season so far. So for them to come out and look that dominant in Game 1 is a really good sign. And for me, it starts and ends with Jox in the early game, getting mid lane ahead, getting solo lane ahead. And it might be harder to ban him out than to just take away some of these pressure picks from Jose and Loki Berto.
Well, Jacques certainly set everything up, but the team brought home the victory. Game 1 in the books. Let's break it down.
Certainly will be breaking it down here as the desk is ready to rock and roll after a big win coming out for MV3 and a bit of a surprise, I would say, in this matchup. I mean, MV3 have had some struggles.
Yes.
Like I said, they just got through losing to VGS God.
Yeah,
so
did.
winning not just here in this matchup, but winning in 26 minutes with the game never really in any doubt, that's surprising.
I think a lot of it came down to the early game shenanigans where Uller just kind of rolled over the Giannis, and that's the one disadvantage as a mid-mage against any hunter, let alone Uller, where you don't trade those basic attacks. Like getting a little bit too ahead of himself was Ali, overstepped his boundaries. First blood, I think, went the way of Jose, and ever since then, he just popped off on the Uller.
It can feel a little bit bad, especially when you're the Giannis early, trying to clear isn't the easiest, and Uller definitely can punish you. And it would be one thing if it was just Jose that was causing problems for this team, but unfortunately, they also had this Achilles to worry about. Found that first blood. He also had a gank on solo right after this, where I think he turned level 5 just in time to be able to complete that gank over there as well, too. So between Jose and Jox, I mean, really, Bedtime's Calling were never in this one. They were behind so early and by so much that it was hard for them to fight back.
Definitely felt that way. Ending the game at 7-2-6. This Achilles worked out beautifully for all of MV3. That blink play at level 2 is what really opened the door now even for Jose to really start going off. And I mean, whenever you're hitting anyone for 409 damage, it's a good day.
And really, I feel like they could have won this game a little bit sooner, but Sarpei hit a really nice Fear No Evil off the respawn on the actual Titan earlier on, and that was just enough to force back everybody from the Titan room, and he cleaned up a couple kills there and was able to keep moving. That could have been much worse for them. But yeah, I mean, you can see the writing on the wall. Kana and Oi in the middle lane, they really struggled.
I think Bedtime Calling trying to do a little too much with their whole composition. They got attack speed on Fafnir and Hachima. They got mobility here on the Giannis. They got a great team fighting ultimate on the Hun Bats. You got solo lane dominance in the Osiris, but they needed to stick to one idea and make that work at the end of the day. They were just a little bit too spread out with their ideas that they just got picked off from the early aggression out of MV3, and eventually it translated to great healing numbers coming out of Loki Berto once those team fights actually started happening.
That's a good point. Now you have that Guan Yu in, and that's yet another issue that Bedtime's Calling weren't quite able to deal with. But you're right, there was no cohesion there in the draft from Bedtime's Calling, was there? I mean, MV3 had this tanky, sustainy, and really early aggressive comp, and they were able to play very well into all three of those things. They sustained and got that early, like, 14-minute Fire Giant with the Guan Yu. They ran them down early with the Achilles and the Uller. I mean, their clear game plan came through, and whatever it is Bedtime's Calling were trying never got off the ground.
I mean, if we look at MV3's draft specifically, a lot of it is self-sustained or team-sustained. Ardio heals herself, Sol can heal herself a little bit, Achilles with a self-sustained, Guan Yu with a team-sustained. So that was the one idea that they had going for them, and it worked out really well off of their early dominance. If the game was neutral and stalemated in the early game, I still think that the healing numbers would just be more impactful at that point.